Viewer discretion is advised. This content is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. The following is a dramatized summary based on courtroom testimony, reportedly from day 5 of the trial, involving Sean Diddy Combs, as covered by Inner City Press. For the first time, Cassie Ventura shared under oath what she claimed to have experienced in an underground area, allegedly beneath Combs' Los Angeles property. According to her testimony, this was unrelated to music, fame, or their personal relationship. It was, in her words, something more disturbing. She described secret rooms, alleged drug use, and individuals wearing masks. Some segments have been modified to comply with YouTube's guidelines, but the essence of the reported testimony remains. Cassie's statements during cross-examination reportedly shocked the courtroom and could become central to what some consider one of the more sensational celebrity trials in recent memory. The 5th day of the trial began with a heightened sense of anticipation. Reporters arrived early, the public gallery was packed, and the jury appeared especially attentive. Cassie Ventura was set to return to the stand. Unlike the previous days of emotional yet routine legal exchanges, this day felt different. Cassie entered quietly, accompanied by security, and sat across from the defense. Though visibly tired, she remained composed. The judge emphasized that courtroom decorum must be upheld, and questioning began. Departing from their earlier approach, the defense focused on the layout and features of Combs' mansion, particularly its security and structural design. The questioning took a sharp turn when she was asked, "Ms. Ventura, have you ever been beneath the property, inside the tunnel?" There was a pause. The prosecution objected, citing relevance and speculation, but the judge permitted the question. Cassie responded, "Yes." Her answer appeared to confirm long-standing rumors circulating online about alleged tunnels on the property. The defense then asked, "What exactly did you see when you went down there?" Cassie described being led to an entrance outside the house, hidden near the pool and covered by landscaping. Underneath, she claimed there was a hatch. Once inside, she saw concrete stairs and steel doors. As they descended, it got colder, and the environment felt more like an institution than a private home. She recounted walking down bare hallways lit by fluorescent lights, with no windows or cell service. According to her, Combs was acting erratically, muttering to himself. They passed through a keypad-locked door into a larger room. She described red lighting, cameras, leather furniture, and a strong chemical-like odor. Cassie said the room contained props, masks, ropes, oils, and latex garments. There were mirrors on the ceiling and floor, and the walls were padded. She said the space felt clinical and controlling, not recreational. When asked if others were present, she said yes. 2 women, both in masks and wigs. One was lying on a couch, the other near a camera on a tripod. They did not speak, and Combs referred to them, she said, as performers. She claimed to have made an excuse to leave shortly afterward. Back upstairs, she said she locked herself in a room. According to her, Combs later confronted her and told her not to repeat what she had seen, saying, "That place is for me, not for you." Cassie said she never went back, but the memory stayed with her. When further questioned about the layout, she described 3 additional rooms. One entirely dark, with chains on the wall, one with a mirror and a digital panel near a bed, and a third with only a chair and a box of wires. She said she told Combs she wanted to leave, and although he didn't stop her, he reportedly laughed and told her she wasn't ready. At the final door, he said, "This is where I bring the ones I own." Cassie described hearing muffled sounds behind one door that initially sounded like distorted music, but then she realized they were voices. She couldn't confirm who was inside and didn't want to know. She left the tunnel that night shaking, and her clothes smelled like the place for hours afterward. In court, she admitted she never told anyone, not friends or family, because she felt, "I didn't want to disappear. That's how it felt, like if I said something, I'd vanish like those girls in the room." The prosecution asked why she chose to speak now. Cassie replied, Because it's not just about me anymore. Because he's still doing this. Because if someone else ends up down there and never comes back, she trailed off. The judge called for a brief recess, but the courtroom remained silent. Not a single person moved, as what had just been said was more than testimony. It was a warning. When court resumed, the questioning shifted from the physical space beneath the mansion to what occurred above it, which was no less disturbing. The defense tried to portray Cassie's experiences as consensual by focusing on the now infamous term freak-offs. This phrase had appeared in her texts with Diddy, often in playful or coded language. Now the court heard what it really meant. "Can you explain what a freak-off was?" the defense asked. Cassie nodded slightly. It was a planned event, always involving sex, sometimes with multiple people, sometimes filmed. He assigned roles and gave instructions. Sometimes drugs were required. The jury was shown text messages dating back years. In one, Diddy wrote, "Game starts at 10 p.m, no breaking character until 8 a.m. In another, "Bring candles, grab outfits, I want you in a wig." Cassie clarified these weren't isolated events, but recurring at least twice a month. Some were spontaneous. Others were arranged like business meetings, timed and scheduled, with people brought in by assistants. She admitted she sometimes agreed, but agreeing while drugged is not consent. "I was often high. Sometimes I didn't remember what I had done." The prosecution clarified these events, which Diddy called sessions in writing, often happened in luxury hotels or sometimes in his private homes. "Did any occur in the tunnel?" the prosecutor asked. Cassie swallowed hard. Yes, she described one event where she was told to wear a latex suit and remain silent the entire night. "I was told I'd be punished if I broke character." The guests that night included strangers whose names he never gave her. "I was told to trust him." One message entered into evidence contained a chilling line from Diddy. "This time I want control, no safe word." Cassie testified she didn't always feel in control of her own body. "Afterward, I felt hollow. I wasn't sure who I was anymore." She later deleted videos and photos, not out of shame, but fear. Fear that if she spoke, something worse would happen. The questioning then turned to the role drugs played in these encounters. "What substances were commonly used during these events?" the prosecution asked. Cassie didn't hesitate. "Opiates, MDMA, benzodiazepines, weed, but mostly pills I didn't ask for. Sometimes I didn't know what I took until I passed out." She testified that the drugs were often handed to her by Diddy directly or his staff. He'd say it was something to help me relax, but it made me foggy, slow, compliant. She recalled waking up one night on the floor of his Miami property, covered in sweat with a camera light still on. "I don't know how I got there. I don't know who was in the room." She told the court she began to suspect videos were being kept. He'd tell me, "You're mine forever." At first, I thought it was just words. Then I realized he was documenting things for control. The defense challenged this, asking if she ever saw these videos. "Only once, briefly," she said. "A clip. On his laptop. Me and two men. I didn't remember it happening. I begged him to delete it. He told me, 'I keep everything for leverage.'" Cassie explained how this control extended beyond the bedroom. If she left the house without checking in, he'd call 50 times. If she didn't answer, he threatened to ruin everything. She also suspected he instructed people in his circle to stop providing her drugs directly, accusing her of stealing from him. "It was like he was cutting off my access to anything outside of him. I was completely dependent." At one point, she claimed she tried to get help through a luxury rehab disguised as a spa, but he found out, showed up, and told them she was just being dramatic. She checked out the next day. The courtroom was silent as she admitted trying multiple times to quit pills on her own. "I couldn't, not with him still in my life." As her testimony continued into the afternoon, the prosecution asked if she was the only one. Cassie shook her head. "No, I wasn't the only woman, not by a long shot." She testified that during several freak-offs, other women were present, Sometimes escorts, sometimes strangers, sometimes celebrities. They arrive by car service, sometimes masked, sometimes crying. I didn't ask questions. I was too scared. She identified Tiffany Red, a former friend, as one of the few people who saw what happened behind closed doors. Tiffany was at my 29th birthday party. She saw things. She told me it wasn't okay. I didn't listen. The court revisited an open letter Tiffany wrote years later, published in Rolling Stone, calling out Diddy's behavior. She tried to speak out but was silenced. The prosecution pressed further. Did any staff members witness what was going on? Yes, Cassie said. His assistants helped coordinate. They knew when we arrived, they cleaned up afterward. I don't know how much they knew, but they weren't oblivious. She also recalled the moment she realized her privacy was an illusion. I caught one of his assistants walking in on us once. He didn't flinch, just said, "Sorry, boss." The defense argued this didn't prove criminal intent, but Cassie's words struck a nerve. It wasn't about sex. It was about control, obedience and submission. He needed to feel untouchable. When asked why so many stayed silent for so long, her answer was immediate. Because we thought no one would believe us. Because he was powerful. She paused. But now the truth is out, and I'm not the only one ready to speak. As the courtroom prepared for the next phase of testimony, the prosecution moved to the most harrowing part yet, the physical abuse. Cassie had already described the manipulation, the underground tunnel, and the disturbing parties. But what came next was unmistakably physical. Bruises, blood, her body damaged in silence. "Did Mr. Combs ever physically assault you?" the prosecutor asked. Cassie nodded, staring down. "Yes, many times." She described early signs, him grabbing her wrist too hard, pushing her during arguments. He always apologized afterward, promising it would never happen again. But it always did. The court was shown photos of a gash above her eyebrow. Cassie confirmed it was from a night she came home late after dinner, alone. He suspected she was cheating. She said he was intoxicated, paranoid, and aggressive. I was supposed to be packing for a trip, but I was tired and fell asleep on the couch. I woke up to him screaming. I don't remember much after that, just the pain. She also recalled being kicked in the back after he read a text from another man. The prosecution pressed. "Do you remember who it was?" "Kid Cudi," she said. "He thought we were having an affair." She explained they had briefly dated during a break in her relationship, but he couldn't let it go. He constantly brought it up, using it to justify everything. She described how even when she tried to walk away, he found ways to punish her, sending messages through people she trusted, making sure she felt watched and remembered who was in control. When asked why she didn't go to the police, she said, "Because I didn't think anyone would believe me. He had power. I didn't." Then she told the court something chilling. "After one of the worst nights, he threw me off a boat in the Caribbean, saying I was dead weight. I swam to shore and still went back to him." At that moment, one juror was visibly shaken. The judge called for a brief pause, but the impact was clear. Cassie made it clear that the abuse wasn't symbolic or hidden. It was physical, violent, and real. When court resumed, the prosecution carefully guided Cassie through the final and most infamous event, the Intercontinental Hotel incident. This wasn't a rumor or online gossip. This was the night that changed everything. "This was the night before your movie premiere, correct?" they asked. "Yes," she replied. "I had waited years for that premiere. I was proud of the film. I wanted to celebrate. But he had other plans." Cassie testified that he pressured her into one last encounter. He said it would be quick and help them reconnect. She was hesitant and initially said no, but he persisted. "He told me it was tradition. Every big moment needed one of our nights." Eventually, I relented. I wanted peace. I didn't want to fight the night before my red carpet event. Cassie described being driven to the Intercontinental under the impression it would be just the two of them. But when she arrived, there were already others in the room. 2 women, One male dancer, candles, cameras. I knew what it was, she said. She was given a pill. He said it would help her loosen up. She was already exhausted and took it. She remembered flashes, the dancer in a mask, him recording on his phone, herself in the mirror, slurring words she didn't remember saying. Then nothing. She woke up hours later alone, covered in sweat. She checked her phone. He had sent a message saying, "You were amazing. I'm proud." She didn't know what he meant and never asked. She got up, cleaned herself off, and walked the red carpet hours later with a smile. No one knew. No one saw the bruises hidden under her dress. The prosecution then presented texts from that day, him asking if she was still glowing, if she wanted to do it again after the after-party. Her answer, "I never responded." That night, something, inside, her broke. For the first time, she started to imagine life without him. It wasn't just one night. It was the last straw after a decade of control. The next morning, she flew to New York alone. He didn't follow. For the first time in years, she felt like she could breathe. The final part of Cassie's testimony that day was quieter and more measured. Not as shocking as the tunnel or the violence, but somehow more haunting because it showed what happens after the cameras stop flashing. She spoke about how she tried to heal. At first, I pretended none of it happened. I told people we just grew apart. But inside, I was broken. She began therapy, then started to remember details. Nights she had repressed, people she'd met, rooms she'd entered. Then came the civil lawsuit. It was filed quickly and settled even faster, but for Cassie, it wasn't about money. It was about creating a record, a document that said, "I wasn't crazy, it happened." Her lawsuit opened the floodgates. In the following weeks, other women came forward with anonymous stories and new complaints. Then came an FBI raid. Authorities searched Diddy's properties looking for evidence related to trafficking and coercion. What they found remained sealed, but rumors circulated about underground structures,